A warm greeting. Today is Saturday, September 9, 2023. This is meteorologist Ruben Garcia. In this video, I will be talking specifically about Hurricane Lee, which continues its west-northwest movement and is currently located near 21 degrees north latitude, quite distant to the northeast of the Lesser Antilles. Furthermore, I wanted to mention that we have Tropical Storm Margot, which is continuing its northwest trajectory. Over the next few days, it will move towards mid-latitudes, where it could become the next hurricane of the season. However, this cyclone does not pose a threat to land areas. On the other hand, we will be monitoring a new tropical wave that will emerge from Africa in the coming days, with potential for cyclonic development between the Caribbean and Africa. To learn more about this forecast, I invite you to stay tuned to my YouTube channel as I will be recording another video later today. Let's now focus on the region north of the Caribbean. In the visible satellite image, we can clearly see Hurricane Lee, which remains a Category 3 hurricane with maximum sustained winds of 115 miles per hour. Over the last 36 hours, wind shear has been impacting this cyclone, causing it to weaken from a Category 5 hurricane. In the past few hours, it has maintained a constant intensity while battling against the wind shear. According to the forecast, it is expected to eventually make a westward turn, passing well north of Puerto Rico and the Dominican Republic. It could encounter favorable conditions to strengthen back into a Category 4 hurricane. Afterward, it is projected to make a northeastward turn. At the moment, it appears it will stay clear of the Bahamas, the Turks and Caicos Islands, as well as the southeastern and eastern United States. However, interests in Bermuda, the northeastern United States, and Nova Scotia should keep an eye on the long-term evolution of Hurricane Lee. As you can see, over the past few days, it has consistently moved west-northwest, as previously projected. It is currently passing closest to the northern Lesser Antilles, approximately 400 miles northeast of the Caribbean. Also, note that tropical storm force winds are far from the Caribbean and will remain over the Atlantic waters as it moves north of Puerto Rico and the Dominican Republic. Consensus in the forecasted path remains among the best models, with a general west-northwest movement at least until next Monday night. It should then move slowly westward until Tuesday or Wednesday. Later next week, it will make that northward turn, and you can see that it will remain well clear of the Bahamas, as well as the Dominican Republic. In terms of intensity, models predict strengthening over the next 24 to 48 hours, potentially bringing Hurricane Lee back to a Category 4 hurricane. In fact, the National Hurricane Center estimates it will again reach maximum sustained winds of 140 miles per hour. However, when it begins its northward turn, it will gradually weaken. Nevertheless, models forecast that it will remain a major hurricane for at least the next 5 days. Here is the official forecast from the National Hurricane Center, showing the west-northwest movement and a reduction in forward speed during Monday and Tuesday. This is when the strongest storm surge event is expected to affect the northern Lesser Antilles, Puerto Rico, the Dominican Republic, the Turks and Caicos Islands, and a significant portion of the eastern Bahamas. Then, on Wednesday morning, it will make that northward turn and is currently expected to pass just west of Bermuda. Bermuda should stay vigilant because the 5-day uncertainty cone is quite wide. Let's look at the latest projections from the global models. Here we have the afternoon run of the American model, the GFS. You can see it maintains a trajectory very similar to that of the National Hurricane Center, strengthening during Monday and Tuesday when it is located north of the Bahamas and the Dominican Republic. Then, on Wednesday night, it takes that northward turn, passing west of Bermuda and moving into higher latitudes in the Atlantic Ocean. You can see that, at least for the next 5 days, Hurricane Lee will not directly impact land areas. We also have the European model, which has a fairly similar forecast, with that westward movement between Monday and Wednesday but staying well north of the Greater Antilles and northeast of the Bahamas. It then takes a northward turn, passing closest to Bermuda on Saturday morning. The European model aligns with the other models in that, for the next 5 days, Hurricane Lee is not expected to affect land areas. However, there will be some significant indirect effects in the Caribbean region, specifically due to the storm surge that will likely cause flooding and coastal erosion along the northern Lesser Antilles, Puerto Rico, the Dominican Republic, the Bahamas, and the Turks and Caicos Islands. Look at the European model projection, which forecasts that for Puerto Rico and the Dominican Republic, between Tuesday and Wednesday, waves could reach heights of 10 to 15 feet. It's important to stay away from the shores of this region. Then, between Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, you can see that this wave can affect a large part of the Bahamas and the Turks and Caicos Islands with waves ranging from 15 to 20 feet in height. For Bermuda, wave heights could reach up to 30 feet during the upcoming weekend. In terms of wind, tropical storm and hurricane force winds will remain over open Atlantic waters. There are no forecasts of storm winds affecting the Caribbean or the Turks and Caicos Islands. Likewise, rainfall should not be a major problem, although there are expected to be some scattered showers affecting the Lesser Antilles, specifically the Virgin Islands, Puerto Rico, the Dominican Republic, and Haiti. Some estimates suggest 1 to 3 inches of rain over the next 5 days. As usual, there may be some afternoon thunderstorms, but no significant flooding event is expected in this region. Looking ahead, as Hurricane Lee begins its northward turn, it's important for the northeastern United States to stay vigilant about its evolution. Some model runs, like the European model, bring the circulation center dangerously close to the northeastern United States in about 8 to 9 days. However, please remember that forecasts beyond 5 days have a high margin of error, so there's no reason to worry at this point, but vigilance is recommended. And while the long-term European model forecast brings Hurricane Lee close to the northeastern United States, the majority of models, like the American model, have it moving over Nova Scotia and Canada. It's important for Nova Scotia to also stay alert to the evolution of Hurricane Lee. I want to emphasize that the European model's forecast is currently the least likely scenario, as both the GFS model and the European model ensemble members show a consensus that it will pass west of Bermuda and then approach Nova Scotia without impacting the northeastern United States directly. This gives us confidence that, at this time, there is no expectation of a direct impact on the northeastern United States. However, we will remain attentive to any changes in this long-term forecast, as it's normal to see significant changes in the track. Well, with that, I bid you farewell, and please stay tuned for the next video, where we will discuss the next tropical wave that could develop in the tropical Atlantic next week. Goodbye.